Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bruce Jacobs. I'm a lawyer from Jacobs Legal. I represent Ana Lazara Rodriguez, who is in a foreclosure that we have been fighting to stop for quite some time now. Ms. Rodriguez's foreclosure is fraudulent. It was based on false evidence, a forged endorsement, a robo-signed mortgage assignment, things that should not be tolerated in a court of law. So Ms. Rodriguez is someone that I've been representing now pro bono for a couple of years because I read about her story in the Miami Herald. She has the she's been honored by the city of Miami because she endured 19 years in a prison for women in Cuba. Fidel Castro imprisoned her as a young woman, and the suffering that she endured at the hands of the Castro regime was intolerable. Torture, beatings, depriving her of food, depriving her of water, things that really make you think about what it means to live in a free country where there's a rule of law. So when I read about Anna's story, she had just lost her house to a foreclosure, and I decided to help. So I have now been going into court and asking for our judge, Peter Lopez, to give us an evidentiary hearing, to let me present my evidence of fraud in the court. And so far, Judge Lopez has said, well, I know that there's an eviction that's pending, and if the sheriff comes, we'll have a hearing, and we'll consider whether to let the eviction go forward before you have your hearing on whether there's fraud. So yesterday, the sheriff came and served the 24-hour notice, which means that right about now, the sheriff should be here trying to evict Ms. Rodriguez from her home. Thankfully, we reached out to some of the leaders here in Miami-Dade County, specifically Mayor Danielle Levine-Cava. We're very grateful to Mayor Levine-Cava. She basically stopped the eviction today. She said the eviction's not going to go forward because she understands that we're all here sworn to protect the Constitution and the constitutional rights of everyone that comes before us. And Mayor Levine-Cava recognized that there's something wrong with allowing someone to be evicted from their home while they're waiting for a chance to present evidence that the foreclosure that was used to take the home was fraudulent. Now, we have another significant thing that just happened yesterday. A few hours before the sheriff came to serve this eviction, we had an order that came down from a judge here in Miami, Judge Beatrice Butchko. For those who know, Judge Butchko has been on the bench for decades. She's one of the most respected judges we have in Miami. She's been in the civil court for many, many years, has heard hundreds of foreclosures, and she used to be a Miami prosecutor. And when I asked Judge Butchko to give me an evidentiary hearing so I could present my evidence of fraud on the court, Judge Butchko said, okay, let's do it. So we had already a couple of evidentiary hearings, and during the course of those proceedings, what became clear was that everything we were saying about Bank of America and Bank of New York committing systemic fraud on the court, them forging endorsements and putting in fake mortgage assignments like they did in Ms. Rodriguez's case, it's all true. And they're not trying to say it's not true. What they were trying to do was to prevent us from getting the evidence in by using the rules of evidence and everything else that every good defense lawyer would do. But what they were doing was a little different. They had a choice. They could either admit that they were committing fraud or they could commit perjury. And they chose to commit perjury. And yesterday, Judge Butchko entered an order. It's a very special order that we haven't seen very often in foreclosure defense work, but it was an order to show cause. It was an order that said Bank of America, Bank of New York Mellon, their subservicer Carrington, and their lawyer should all have to show cause why they shouldn't be sanctioned under the court's inherent contempt powers for fraud on the court, particularly for offering perjured testimony during the evidentiary hearing to determine whether they were engaged in systemic fraud in the court. So there is now a criminal arraignment that is set for June 25th at 1:30. If you want more information about it, you can please go to my website, jakelegal.com, www.jakelegal.com. And on the 25th, Bank of New York Mellon, Bank of America, their sub-servicer, Carrington, and their lawyer are going to have to plead guilty or not guilty, like a criminal defendant. Did you commit perjury during this evidentiary hearing to determine whether you were committing fraud? And that is a very, very significant development in all of this work, that a judge would tell a bank, you can't commit perjury in my courtroom, not when I'm trying to figure out whether you committed fraud. And on that alone, the judge has the inherent contempt powers to stop this. So we're very thankful that Judge Butchko has given us the opportunity to be heard. And tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we're going to have an emergency hearing in front of Judge Peter Lopez, where we've presented all this to him and asked Judge Lopez, he has the power to issue what's called a temporary injunction, because when we filed our lawsuit to vacate the judgment in Ms. Rodriguez's case, we did it and there was no eviction pending, and now there's a sheriff at the door. And that's a significant change in circumstance, and the law says that's the circumstance that, quote, manifestly warrants, unquote, a injunction to issue. So God willing, tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we'll have the Zoom information on our website. Also, if you'd like to help raise money for Anna's defense, the judge had asked for a $100,000 bond to be posted within 24 hours a few weeks ago, which we couldn't do, but we are trying to raise money to show the judge that the community cares. So if you go to our website, you'll see a box at the top of it for Ana Lazara Rodriguez, and there you'll see the links to be able to find out more about her story and to make a donation if you'd like to help us out. And we'd greatly appreciate it if you would. So that's the update for now. We're going to be offering more information as it comes forward. Again, I want to thank the Miami-Dade County Mayor, Daniela Levine Cava, who took a step that she didn't have to take to make sure that Ms. Rodriguez's constitutional rights were protected. And thankfully, we have judges like Judge Butchko, and we have, God willing, Judge Lopez are all going to follow in suit and make sure that nobody loses their home to a fraudulent foreclosure. So I'd like to turn it over now and have Ms. Rodriguez just talk a little bit about her experiences. And thank you very much.
It's amazing when you come from a country where there is no laws at all. When you come from a country where my first visit, they beat our mothers in front of us, only because they refused to go out quickly because I was doing a search in our belongings. When you come from a country where there is no law, but the law of a powerful one, you feel comfort in the Constitution of this country. You feel comfort when a mayor in a city stops the powerful to destroy you. It's amazing to feel that the Constitution in this country don't let you be abused by the powerful bank. And that is the message I want to send, that I'm grateful to God to be living in a country with this kind of constitution.